Hello, welcome back to TM Free Life. Today we're going to discuss emblems. Okay, so what do we have here? We have the typical Tesla emblem, which is actually, if you're not aware of what the Tesla emblem is, it's supposed to be a cross-section of an electric motor. So it's not just some made-up T for Tesla. There actually is a little bit of rhyme and reason behind the design of the emblem. So what I've seen on some other vehicles, and when I first saw it on Franz's car, the chief designer of this vehicle, it was the original Roadster emblem, which essentially what that is it is the word Tesla spelled out across the back of the trunk. And I think that just looks really classy, really sporty. With this carbon fiber spoiler that we just did, I think it'll really add that special extra accent to and really complete the back end of this car. First thing we need to do, well, you don't need to do it. You could actually leave this Tesla emblem on the trunk and then just put the letters right below it. To me, that looks a little clustered. So what we'll be doing is we'll actually be removing this emblem. It is a metal emblem, and it is put on with, typical 3M adhesive type material. So what we have to do is we have to heat that emblem up and then use either dental floss, or you could use like a low strength fishing line, and we'll work that in back of the emblem until we get it off. Once we get it off, we'll use maybe a Goo Gone solution in order to get the rest of the glue residue off. And as always, we're going to go ahead and prep the back of the trunk before we install our new emblem. So let's get to work. First thing we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to heat up the emblem so we can loosen the glue in the background or the adhesive on the back side of the emblem. Now to do that, you can use a tool like this. This is an actual heat gun. I caution you, if you're using a heat gun, unless you know how to use one, you never want to have it directed at one spot for any long length of time. It could actually damage the paint. It could actually cause damage. If you're a novice and a DIYer yourself, and you don't have one of these, not everyone has a heat gun, you're probably safer off just using a blow dryer on high heat. But still, you're going to want to move that back and forth so that you don't heat up any one area too much and do any damage. I don't think you'll do any damage with a hair dryer, but you definitely can with a heat gun. I've decided that we're going to go ahead and try something. Now I know that a lot of people suggest, I believe it's number 2 fishing line. I have just plain old Oral-B dental floss, and we're going to see if it's going to be strong enough. I imagine it'll break a few times before we get all the way through, but let's give it a shot. I'd be curious if it's something you can do with tools you have at home. So keep in mind, this could be a hair dryer, and everyone has dental floss at home. Well, at least I hope. So let's try that. So what we're going to do first, we're going to heat up the surface, and I'm going to heat it up to a point where I can touch it and I feel like the emblem's starting to move a little bit, and then we'll start working with the dental floss. So let's go ahead and give that a try, shall we? So you'll notice I'm moving this back and forth. I don't want to hold it in any one direction. I will be checking the temperature of the emblem and the trunk with my hands just to make sure that I'm not getting it too hot at any point in time. I started out on high heat and I just lowered it down a little bit. I don't think it needs to be that hot. I can already feel the adhesive on the back of the emblem starting to give a little bit. It's definitely loosening up. We may have to do this a few times as we go with the dental floss. It may start to cool down, which will require us to come back with the heat gun and heat it back up again. Let's go ahead and give that a try. Now I've set my heat gun down on the concrete of the garage floor, which is perfectly safe. So depending on where you're doing this, just be cognizant of the fact of where you're putting that heat gun. If you are using heat gun, it can get very hot and do damage to whatever you set it on as well. So just be careful with that. So I'm gonna grab a long piece of dental floss, because the key to this is really gonna be going back and forth. And so what we're gonna wanna do is get underneath the T. That's gonna be tricky, it's just to start it out. Maybe we can start it here in the corner. And you're really just gonna wanna work this. As you can see, because of the heat, my dental floss is already starting to break down on me, which I kind of expected, but it's working. There we go. Fishing line would definitely work a lot easier on this. I just figured we'd give it a try with the dental floss. So we've loosened this top part away from the car already, and we're probably going to get through a little bit of dental floss here before we actually get anywhere with it. The reason why the dental floss keeps breaking is, of course, we've heated it up quite a lot back there, so I'm going to have to keep playing with that. Okay, I think we've cooled off a bit, so I'm going to heat it back up again. Now what would be nice is once we pull the emblem off, if the majority of the adhesive came with it. So we would have less cleanup to do in the end, but we'll see if that's actually going to be plausible or not. Now you'll notice I'm wearing a ring here, so just be careful to keep that away from the car itself. The last thing that you want to do when you're trying to customize your car is to damage it in the process. Keeping it warm is definitely going to be key, and I also find that if you double or triple up on the dental floss, it tends to last a little bit longer. Okay, so after playing around with dental floss for a while, it'll do it, but it's going to take a while to get there. I went and actually looked to see if I could find any of my fishing line. For some reason I can't seem to locate it right now, but what I did find was this. And this is fairly strong, it's elastic. It is called Rex lace, and basically it's just a plastic craft lacing. So we'll see if that'll do the trick. It may be a little thick, but we'll give it a shot and see what that does. Okay, what I found is this plastic lace is working a lot better. It's actually pulling out some of the adhesive or chunks of the adhesive with it as I'm cutting through. So at this point we have the two tops of the T separated. We're going to come right down the center of the T. I'm going to reheat that up and we're going to see we can get the bottom part of the emblem off. One thing I definitely should have mentioned in the beginning of this, before we get this T completely removed, let's mark its center so that when we put our new emblem up, we know where center is. So what I've got here is just your average Sharpie. Don't be afraid about making a mark, a permanent marker or Sharpie on your paint. Isopropyl alcohol will take that right back off. But we do want to mark where the center is on this. Doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, I just did that with my eye. I just want it to be close enough where to the naked eye, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So that should be pretty much perfect as to where center is on the T. As we get down to the bottom here, we're going to want to make sure that we have a good hold on this emblem so it doesn't just come flying off, ding the paint on the edge of the bumper, or damage the emblem itself, because we may want to reuse this in the future. Okay. As you can see, we got a good majority of the adhesive that came with the back of the T here. So that's good. One more part of the emblem left, and then we'll go ahead and we'll clean up this adhesive here. We'll just heat it up and rub it off with our thumb. Or you could use a plastic scraper, heat it up and scrape it off, and then we'll use some Goo Gone and get rid of some of this extra adhesive here so it's real nice and clean. You'll want to place this in a safe place. As you can see, we're making pretty quick work of this. Remember, keep in mind that as we get to the end of this, this emblem could fall off, and we're going to want to make sure we're ready to grab it. My thought is that with the goo that's on it, just as you can see here, it kind of stuck. Oh no! And as you can see, the emblem is fine. We did leave a ton of the glue there with it, but we'll go ahead and we'll get that off right now. I'm just going to heat it up a little bit. A lot of times this rubs right off with your thumb, so we're going to try that. Be careful with the heat on this. If you heat it too much, you're going to burn your thumb trying to roll this adhesive off, so just keep that in mind. Touch it once in a while to make sure that you can actually touch it. And then, like I said, we'll grab our Goo Gone and a microfiber towel, and we'll clean up the rest of this, and then we'll move on to the installation of our new emblem. Okay, we get the majority of the big parts of the adhesive off. Now it's time to get our Goo Gone and a microfiber towel and really get that off here. So let's go ahead and we're going to get some Goo Gone on here, let it sit a little bit, and then we're going to rub it right off. I've got my Goo Gone, just like I said. I'm going to go ahead and apply some of that fairly liberally to a microfiber towel. I like blue microfiber towels, apparently. Don't be afraid to put a lot of this on. Like when I say liberally, I definitely mean liberally. We'll let it sit there a little bit, just to let it work itself into the adhesive, and then we'll see if we can just get that right back off there. And with the clean side of your microfiber towel, we're going to go ahead and rub this just to make sure we don't feel any weird creases or anything that would have been left over by the edge of the emblem sitting here. I don't. I feel that everything is nice and smooth. The emblem is now gone. We're going to go ahead and prep that with isopropyl alcohol like we did when we installed the spoiler. So let's go ahead and do that now, and we'll get everything prepped and get all this goo off, because nothing's going to stick to goo gun. So we definitely need to make sure that we get isopropyl alcohol in here and really clean that off. Now, a word of caution, be careful where you're wiping with your isopropyl alcohol, because you will take that mark that we made with the Sharpie off if you're not careful. Remember, we're just trying to get the goo gone off and prepare the bottom part of this trunk lid for the application of our emblem. I'm really trying to be liberal with the isopropyl alcohol, just like I was with the goo gone, because I really want to get that off. I want to make sure that this is not, that this is a surface prepped well enough for our new emblem to stick very well to it. Grab another microfiber towel here and just wipe that clean. One last time with the isopropyl alcohol down low. The emblem is going to run right about here. So one more really good swipe of that. Being careful not to remove our mark of where center line is. That should do it. Now let's take a look at the new emblem. So this is the new emblem. It comes on basically a transfer paper. And we basically line it up and we lay it across. And as we're going across, we're going to want to make sure that we follow the line here on the trunk, because this trunk is curved. This emblem is not. So we're going to want to make sure that we adjust that properly as we go. I'm going to give it one last wipe down with the microfiber towel just to clean up the rest of any isopropyl alcohol or goo that may be left on here. I certainly don't want that. A nice, clean, dry surface. Okay, so I pulled the emblem out. The first thing we want to do is we're going to want to remove the white backing off the clear transfer paper. And as I do that, we're going to start putting these in place. And as we're happy with where this sits, I'm just going to touch the emblem, the letters one by one, just to make sure that they stick. Not really hard, because if I need to make any adjustments, I don't want to really push them in too firm until I'm really happy with the placement of them. Some of these are a little shifted, and I want to make sure that I get them on there properly. So let's remove the white backing, and we'll go ahead and lay this in place carefully. Okay, and now here's the emblem with the backing removed, and I'm going to kind of follow along the bottom of the plastic strip to kind of allow me to line this up. And I'm going to follow the curve of the bottom of the trunk lid here. First, we got to find our center of where we marked our center line with that Sharpie, which is right there. Okay. Okay, so I've laid the emblems in place. I'm going to remove the transfer paper. Now remember, Remember, I've only lightly attached these. As you can see, that S pulled up. That's what I want, because I want to be able to make sure that this is exactly where I want it before I really push hard and keep it in that location. Okay, so that's the gist. I'm going to go ahead and just adjust my letters to make sure that I'm happy with their placement. Once I'm happy with their placement, then I'm going to go ahead and firmly push on them, just like we did when we installed the spoiler. But some of these are a little off, so I'm going to adjust that before I commit to its location. Because once you commit, and again, that 72 hours passes, it's there, unless you want to go ahead and use your fishing line and pull them back off after you've heated them up. A over here is a little bit off, so I'm going to adjust that. Top part of the E is just a tiny bit off, so we're going to adjust that. And then I'm just going to take a quick step back to make sure that I'm happy with the placement. I think my T is just a little bit crooked, so I'm going to fix that. And there we go. At this point, I'm going to stick them really tight to the back part of the trunk. So I'm going to use, you're going to use your handy dandy microfiber towel just to really push on this and really get those seated where you want them. Once they're seated, you're not going to have to worry about these coming off. You'll be able to wash the car with ease and not have to worry about these popping back off. Again, we're going to allow them to sit without water splashing up on them for a good 72 hours. Make sure that they've got a good adhesion to the back of the trunk lid. Then we'll adjust your angle so you can get a better look at the emblem. All right, let's take a look at the final installation and see what it looks like. Now me personally, just like the spoiler, I think this adds a really nice classic yet sporty look to the car, goes with the spoiler, and just like the Tesla T emblem, obviously it's very clear what the car is. This is a dual motor car. I do have the dual motor emblem, but I really like the clean look of the trunk, so I'm not going to install that. I may put it somewhere else. Maybe I'll even install it in a special place. But for right now, I'm sure you all know what's next. That's right, it's Snapple Facts. Alright, let's pick 2 Snapple caps at random. Here we go. Alright, so 111,111,111 times 111,111,111, so basically times itself, equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Math can be very surprising sometimes, so there you go. That's an odd one. Haven't seen anything like that before. Fact number 2. Elephants are the only mammals that can't jump. I guess that's true. I mean, if you've seen them at the circus, they all, can walk on balls, and they can stand up on their hind legs, and they can lift people up with one paw. Has a paw, hoof, foot, whatever. You know what I mean. Thanks for dropping in on another Snapple Facts. Welcome back from Snapple Facts, and I hope you all learned something. Typically, I haven't been asking you guys to subscribe or smash that like button. I'd like you to do so. There's going to be a lot more videos like this coming. I have a whole closet full of products to install in this car, and we're going to be walking through that together so that you too can install these products for yourself. So please go ahead, subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button so this video gets shared around as much as possible so other people can see how to do this on their own, as everything that we do here at TM3 Life is a DIY project. Now, another thing that you'll notice is I do have a referral code in my description below. That referral code will give you right now 1,000 miles of free supercharging if you decide to buy a Tesla of any model, whether that be a S, X, or 3. As this channel gets growing and it gets bigger, we have giveaways coming. So please, if you own a Model 3 or a Tesla in general, stay tuned. We will have some giveaways coming up, and we'll figure out the details for those soon. As always, let's keep those batteries charged.